Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome once again to the channel. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please do so to be part of this community. And also, do like the video to help with the YouTube algorithm so these videos can be exposed to a lot of people. All right, in today's video, we will be going over how to analyze the email headers of suspicious emails. This will be a quick and easy way we can analyze suspicious email and also how to verify attached link before we click on this link. All right, so before we continue, what is an email header? Email headers or email header is a part of the email that contains information about the sender, recipient, email's route to get to the inbox, and the various authentication details. The email header always precedes the email body. As we saw last week or in the last video, how easy it is to send an email or a spoof email, using someone's email address to try to phish or to try to attack somebody, right? So if you ever receive an email and then you are in doubt that the email might not be a legitimate email, or the email might be coming from someone other than the one you think or the person you think sent you the email, you can do a quick email header analysis whereby you can actually go through the header and see the source IP, the destination IP, the host name, the authentication method and what have you to validate the authenticity or the legitimacy of the email. So let's see how that works. If you remember from the last video, we talked about the fact that someone can spoof anybody's email address and send you an email. So let's just pretend that we received this email from Daniel Jones, and then we read the email, but something tells us that this might be a phishing email or it might be a spam email. So how do you analyze it? In order to clear our doubts, right? So let's see how that works. So you open up the email and then you go to where it says you go to this little three ellipses, and then you can click on show original, right? So you click on show original, and this is the Gmail, right? So you click on the show original. This is the email header right here. You can see all the headers here. And then you're going to copy everything from here all the way down to right when you see the body of the email. And this is the body of the email. Good morning, right there. Good morning, right there, right? So you're going to copy from here all the way to the beginning, right? You highlight it and then you right click and then you copy. There are a lot of tools out there that can help you to do the email header analysis. And I'm going to go over two or three of the most popular tools. So the first one I'm going to use here is going to be the MXToolBox, right? So the MXToolBox is just email header analyzer. It kind of analyzes the email to let you see if there is anything suspicious about the email. So we copy the email header. We're going to paste it right here. And then you're just going to click on analyze the header. All right, so right there you see it has complete all the analysis for you. So this is where you're going to start reading your analysis. It says DMARC compliant, and then you can see this little X here that tells you that the DMARC compliant is failing. And right there, you know that there's a problem with this email. Anytime you see a DMARC compliance failing or a failure, then there's a problem. So let's pause for a second. What is the DMARC compliance? A DMARC compliance failure means that both SPF and DKIM verification test fail. And I'm going to go over the SPF and then the DKIM, right? So you can see that the DKIM and then the SPF, three of those are failing. We only have one, the alignment, the SPF alignment is the only thing that is passing, right? So because we have these three failing, the DMARC compliance is also failing, right? So again, like I said, the DMARC compliance failure means that both SPF and the DKIM verification test fail. These failure can negatively impact email delivery as inboxes cannot verify the legitimacy of the email. So whenever this email hit our inboxes, it will not be able to verify the legitimacy of the email. because it is inbuilt like that with codes to actually read through to make sure that the DMARC is compliant. And if the DMARC is in compliant, the inbox will not flag it as spam or will not reject it or will not quarantine the email. It will go straight into your inbox. But if the DMARC is compliant, it's failing, then the inbox will flag it as spam. SPF and DKIM, they are the fundamental component of email authentication that help protect email sender and recipients from spam and spoofing, as well as phishing. All right, so the SPF stands for Sender Policy Framework, right? And what does that mean? Or what is the use of the Sender Policy Framework? The Sender Policy Framework is an email authentication system designed to prevent email spoofing. It works by verifying that an email message is sent from an authorized IP, and that's the catch, authorized an IP, authorized IP. So the SPF, which is the Sender Policy Framework, will actually look for an authorized IP. If it is not an authorized IP, it will flag it, right? So likewise, the DKIM stands for Domain Key Identified Mail. Domain Keys Identified Mail. It uses public key cryptography to verify that an email message was sent from an authorized mail server in order to detect forgery and to prevent delivery of what? Harmful emails like spams and what have you. So it uses the public key cryptography to verify an email message. So these are the DMARC compliance frameworks. If they are not in alignment, if the SPF is not checking, the DKIM is not checking, then you know there's a problem, right? So as we can see, it's only the SPF alignment that is checked here, but the rest, the SPF authentication, and then the DKIM alignment, the DKIM authenticated, they are all failing. So when you're doing your email analysis, when you're using the MXToolBox, this is the first thing you look for, the DMARC compliant. If the DMARC compliant is not passing, has a red mark that is not, or a red mark that is not passing, then you know there's a problem, right? All right, and then what I want to show you here is you go all the way down. Now that we know what the SPF and then the DKIM stands for, you're going to go all the way down here right before we get to the received header. See here we have what? Date, the date that this email was sent, right? And to what email address. This is the email address that the email was sent to. From this was the email address that this email was supposedly coming from. But then again, you see reply to, you see a different email address, and that is the catch. That right there tells you that this is a phishing email or this is a spoof email attempt on you, because there's no way the reply to will be different different from the from email unless it is set up like that to work in a company, but I doubt it, right? So if you're not sure, this is what gives it out. See that the from email address is different from the reply to. It means that when you're replying to this email, you're actually replying to what mysticman@gmail.com, not the from email that you're seeing in your email box, right? So these are some of the things that you look for to validate the authenticity or the legitimacy of the emails that you receive. So now let's look at another email analyzer. This is what WhatsMyIP.com /email header analyzer. This is another tool or another application that we can use to analyze our headers if you want to verify the authenticity or the legitimacy of an email that we receive. So likewise, we do the same thing. We copy the email header. We go to this site here. This is what what'smyip.com / email header analyzer. All right, so we're going to paste this email header that we copied here, and then we're going to click on what? Analyze. Okay, we see, well, we're seeing that the email source IP address is what? 167.86.101.24. That's the email source IP address. The email source IP host name, this is it right here, right? And then what country is this email originating from? Germany. And the city is what? Nuremberg. and then we have the latitude and then the longitude, right? So right there we see that, okay, if I know my friend lives in the United States or works in the United States, this is going to give it away because the source IP is actually coming from what, Germany, and the city is Nuremberg. So I know there's a problem right there, right? And then you can actually look at the detail, and then you see the address and everything that you need to know about the source IP, the originating IP and what the IP, where the IP was registered and what have you. And you can copy this IP address here, and you can do what's my IP address and then do further analysis on the IP and see what's going on. But right there, you can see that this is the different. This will give you a clue that this might be a phishing email on you, right? And also we're gonna look at this the third application or the third tool we can use to analyze the email headers. This one here is similar to the first two that we looked at, right? Because it actually analyzed the email headers just like the first two. But this is from what? Google Admin Toolbox. So you can actually go to this URL that says toolbox.googleapps.com. And then once you open up this page, you can go to message header. And right there, see, you can paste your email header for your analysis. So we're going to go back here and then copy this email header once again. And then we navigate back to here, and then we can paste that headers. And then you can click on analyze the above header. So this is also going to be similar, like I said, to the first two. So you're going to see that the SPF is actually what failing. We have a soft fail here because at least one of the parameters, is passing. Out of the two, one is passing, right? If you quite remember, we saw that the SPF alignment was passing, right? But the authenticated was not passing. That's why it's soft fail here. And then the DKIM here is also passing, but it failed in the other one. But the DMARC failed completely because this is failing here. All right. So this is also a way for you to see if your the email that you receive is actually from a legitimate source, or there's a reason for you to doubt the legitimacy of the email. The DMARC will give you a clue. If it is failing the DMARC, then you might want to do further analysis to see if this is actually coming in from somebody you know or from a legitimate source, right? Or if there is a link in this email, you don't want to click the link just yet because you want to do further investigation on the link to see if it is a malicious link and what have you. Now that we've seen all the three application or the three sites we can use to do a quick email header analysis, now let's look at if there is a link in your email that you are suspicious of. You can actually analyze the links that is attached before you click it. And that's what we're going to look at right now. So for instance, we have this link in our email. Before we do anything or before we click on this link, we might want to just copy the link, and then we will use some of these sites we're going to go over to do a quick analysis and to verify if this link in the email is malicious or is a bad link or is a malware. All right. So we're going to copy this link, and then we're going to go straight to, let's use this tool here first, which is what? The VirusTotal, right? It's one of the popular tool out there for malware analysis, right? So because our is what? The link is the URL. You're going to click on the URL here. If it is a file, like a Word document, if you're scared that is the macros embedded in the Word document or what have you, you can choose file and then upload the file and then analyze the file. But because we're dealing with the URL, or a link, we're gonna click on that, and then we paste the copied URL. Then we're going to find if it is a malicious link, right? So right off the bat, we're seeing that we have, it is for the autoshan, it was is malicious, right? And then it is suspicious or is suspecting it to be a spam email, right? So, but everything else is clean. And of course, I didn't put any malicious, link to this link, but at least because I was using the one Phishing, file upload and sharing. So that's probably going to make it look a bit suspicious. And also, I was using the bit.do to shorten the URL. So, of course, it's going to make it look suspicious, but there's nothing malicious in the link, right? It's just for explanation and for tutorial purposes. So I didn't put anything in there. But because I uploaded it to the file upload and sharing site, it might flag it as malicious. So that's what we're seeing this here, and it's also suspecting it to be what spam email. So the VirusTotal is very important. If you have the link here, and again, I'm going to post or paste all the links that we went through in the video notes. So you can actually copy, or click on the link or save the link or bookmark the link, and then you can do your quick email and URL or link analysis before you start clicking on what links. All right. So moving on, we see that this has what some few, items of what concerns. All right. So the next one here we're going to use is going to be, which is what the Urlscan .io. All right, it's the same concept. We're gonna paste the link that we copied, and then we're gonna scan it and see what this is saying. And again, we're gonna verify ourselves. And all right, so right there, we're seeing that whatever we did to the URL has been revealed, right? Because this was the URL that we submitted to the urlscan.io, right? But then again, it was able to reveal that this was the actual URL. But because when we are uploading it, we actually use the bit.do to shorten this URL to make it look a bit legitimate, right? Or to make it look a bit less suspicious. That is why we shorten the email. But if we're going to send this with all these numbers and characters and stuff like that, that's going to be more suspicious, right? A lot of people will probably will not click on this link. So that's why the bit.do, we use that bit.do to kind of shorten the URL to eliminate these weird looking characters so people can, believe this link and click on it, right? But then again, this tool was able to reveal the actual URL for us. That's the effective URL that this thing came from, right? So that's the first thing that we're seeing. So if you see that there was a bit of manipulation of the URL, that is a sign for you, or that is like, right there, there's a problem, right? Why was the URL manipulated? What was the URL shortened or changed, and what have you? So this is what you're going to be looking at. If that happens, then stay away from the link. You're not supposed to click that link because that link has been, you know, has been modified in a way. So going down, and then he was able to tell us that this is from bit.do. We have onefishay.com, and also when you go here, it says that the URL vetted, no classification. Of course, there's no classification. Just like I said, I did not put any malicious, file in this link. It was just for explanatory purposes. I did not put any code in there. So that's why there was no classification. It is not a virus, a malware, a Trojan horse, none of those, right? I didn't put anything. So this is right. No verdict says no classification. The verdict is no classification on this URL. But then again, because like I said, we're using the one fichier and the bit.do, you see that um, the Google Safe browsing is flagging it to be what malicious for one fichier.com, because this is a file upload and sharing site for this kind of work. So anytime you see one fichier, definitely some sites are going to flag it as malicious, right? All right. So moving on. All right, so now the next site we're going to look at is what the hybridanalysis.com. So the hybridanalysis.com combine most of these tools that we've looked at individually, like the VirusTotal, the urlscan.io, and stuff like that. It's going to be combined here. So if you use this tool alone, it's going to give you all the results that we've seen so far. All right, so we're going to paste the link here again. So let's copy the link one more time. Then we go here, we paste the link here, and then we click on analyze. All right, let's complete the capture, and then we're gonna click on what generate public report, and then right there you see the URL scan.io is giving us a claim because the URL is not malicious. There's nothing malicious in there, but the virus total is giving us 1% suspicion that there might be something bad with this link, because of the upload size, again, the onefichier.com and then the bit.do. All right, and then the same thing here. The Falcon Sandbox report is also saying that it might be malicious because of what the same bit that do that we use to upload all of this, right? All right. So now the last site we're gonna look at is what checkfish.i checkfish.ai, right? So the checkfish.ai is gonna work in a similar fashion like the VirusTotal, right? So we have that if you suspect any IP, you can actually look for the IP address and then see if the IP is linked to any malicious site. Or if you have a URL, in our case, we have the URL. So we're gonna paste the URL here and then we scan it. So if you have any link that you're suspicious of, you can use the VirusTotal, you can use the hybrid analysis, or you can use this one here. That's what checkfish, and then you can scan it and see if it is suspicious. All right, so we can see that it says it's clean, right? Because of course we know it's clean. There's nothing malicious in there, and it gives you what the IP address of what the onefishay.com where we actually uploaded this, and then you can see that this is what the source URL, but this is the redirected URL. So anytime you see a source and the redirected URL different, you know there's a problem. And then I did that because when I created this file, I uploaded it onto the onefishay.com so I can share the link and also use the bit.do to kind of shorten the link. So because there is a redirection in real life, or when you see this kind of thing, is you have to. It's like you really have to think twice before you click. Why do we have a source URL different from a redirected URL? So right there, you know there's a problem. If that ever happens in real life, make sure you stay away from the link. If you're in the work environment, forward this email to your security operations center email for them to do further analysis to see where is this coming from. Do not click on the link. Threat intelligence here, when you go down, you see the threat intelligence. So this threat intelligence is actually showing you that in the past on the host, we've seen what 15 phishing attempt on this host. And then on the IP address, on this IP address that we're dealing with, we also have what 22 has Phish on this IP. So right there, you know there's a problem. If they have a past history of what phishing attempt on this host, then stay away from that. You keep going down, you see that we have URL hosted on the same domain. So these are some of the examples of what past phishing link or malicious link that they have seen on this same host and the IP address. So you see we have bit.do, FMAQT, we have this PayPal, we have this PayQPal. So these are all real threats that have been seen on this host and IP address. So that is giving you record that okay, this is something that is common on this IP and the host address. So stay away from this if you ever see something like this. All right, so before I complete this video, I just want to show you how you do email analysis using a different email client like yahoo.com. So let's say you have this email and then you want to verify or you want to do analysis on the header. You open up the email and then you go to these three ellipses here and then you go down to where it says view raw message. You click on the view raw message and then there you go, you can have access to the email header. So again, we're going to copy the whole header all the way down to right before we get to the email body. That's going to be the content type. All right, you copy that. And then you're gonna flip over to your MXToolBox or any other toolbox or any other tool you want to use, like the WhatsMyIP email header analyzer. And then you paste up your header, and then again you click on analyze. I'm not going to go through this because we went through that already. But then again, right off the back, you're seeing that the DMARC compliant is what is in compliant. So it means that even though this DKIM authenticated is failing, but it's still in compliant, right? So you have nothing to worry about with this email coming from. This email is actually coming from a verified IP, verified host name, and then you have nothing to worry about. But then again, if you have a link embedded in the email or a link in the email for you to click, then again you might want to use the VirusTotal, the Urlscan IO and what have you to look into the link to make sure the link is actually a legitimate or a non-malicious link before you click on the link. All right, thanks so much for watching, and I hope this video was very informative for you. If you learned something from this video, please do hit the like button. That's going to help the YouTube algorithm so the video can go far, and a lot of people will be able to see this video as well. And also, if you have not yet subscribed, please do consider subscribing to the channel so you can be part of this community as we grow. Thanks so much, and then I'll see you next time in the next video.